So today we're going to look at creating cute little gift card holders. Now this is a nice quick and easy project, and it's one that you can use bits and pieces from your stash for. So we're going to make these little square, now they're about 4 inches by 4 inches size, little gift card holders, and when you open them up they've got this nice little pocket so that you can have your little gift card attached inside, or it could be a place just for a little note, or you could tuck in a little chocolate or a little tea bag and little treats, those bits and pieces too. So it is just a nice and easy little project, and I've got a few other examples here showing you different ways of decorating the front. So all you need to do is find some festive paper in your stash, and we need 8 by 8 square. So I'm just going to cut an 8 inch by 8 inch square from this piece here. It doesn't really matter actually if you go to the full 8 by 8, but if you want to end up with a 4 inch by 4 inch size, that's the way I did it, was with 8 inch by 8 inch, but you could make it smaller, you could make it larger, you could start off with the 12 inch piece if you wish. So now once you've got your piece cut out, you've got to decide which way you want showing on the outside, and then we're just going to fold it in half. And if you have your scoring tool handy, this is a good time to grab it. I actually don't. I'm going to fold this one in half as well. Make sure it's pretty accurate. It's hard to see with the black underneath. So we folded it twice in half. Okay. Then we are going to decide what we want on the outside. So if we want to have more of this festive paper on the outside, I'm going to do it this way. Got to think about it for a minute. I'm going to fold it with the paper I want on the front cover on the inside. So fold it in half, and then we're going to pull this corner, the right hand corner, back to that fold line that you had made, and that's going to be your inside pocket where you're going to be able to put your little gift card or your little treat that you're giving the person. Make sure it's all closing up nicely. Then I'm just going to adhere that little flap down. So you can use glue for this, you can use tape runner. Actually, I'll just open this one up, get it started again. Use a bit of glue this case, make sure you go to the corners and fold that one over. With glue, it's always a good idea just to hold it for a few seconds or put a little bit of weight on it. Then we're going to flip the whole thing over and fold again from the top right corner into the center, and this will be your front page. Give it a nice little score, and once again we're going to glue that flap down. So 2 very simple little folds at that point. Okay, so we're going to have this one as a flap and have this one solid. We don't need the front to be a flap, so I'm actually going to glue this little piece so that it's all solidly down. So this is now looking from the inside of our little gift holder at our flap that we're keeping open, and I'm just gluing underneath the other side. So when I close it, that is all glued down, nice and neat and tidy, but this one is still open. And that is as simple as it is to create the basic holder. Now this holder actually came from another fellow maker who lives in Australia. Her name's Jackie Page, and she makes lots of cute little gift holders, gift card holders and things, so she always comes up with a new idea. And that's the beauty of actually being within the maker pool, because we get to see what other clever designers are creating, and sometimes we can borrow those ideas for ourselves. So that's ready to go. Now we're going to do a little bit of decorating of the front. So I've actually just got out a couple of my thin cuts that give me a double layer. So this is a nice square shape, flourishy shape, with another one with a double layer. Now in your books, just take you to the page. We don't still have that particular one, but we do have another one that would look fabulous. I just haven't purchased it in because I've got my one already. Always good to use what you've got in your stash. But if you don't have something that layers up nicely like that, this here would be a very good alternative. It is called the Stitched Fancy Brackets Thin Cuts, $29.50, and you get the 2 and they layer up nicely with a stitched edging as well. And that is on page 60. So that's what we're going to use for the front. Now I'm going to do a little bit of blending, and I chose Glacier because it's got that kind of a look in here. Glacier, Seabrook, any of those sort of lighter colours. And I could be using any blending tools for this. I just happen to have a little sponge dauber handy. So I'm just going to go in circles from the centre out because the centre is going to be covered up. So I don't mind if that has a little bit of a splotchy look, but I want it to be a bit more smoother on the out. So I'm just going from inside out to do a little bit of blending and sponging just to give the background a bit of interest. I actually used French vanilla for these, so it's a bit of a softer, snowy feel. And you can see it's coming in nicely, and by going along the edges too, it defines the edges because it catches on there, which looks really cool too. So we've got this nice little bit of blending. Doesn't have to be even, just a bit of interest in the back. Then we're going to place this piece on the top, and I've actually already pre-stamped it. So what I used for that is a fun stamp set that's got a lot of neat little sayings, perfect sizing, in our book, on our seasonal book, on page 45, and it's this set here. It's called Let It Snow Stamp Set. So we had a couple of different sentiments I could have chosen, as well as a cute little one. And if you go back to my example at the start, instead of a sentiment, I actually chose to do this little scene inside and turn it into a snow globe, which is really fun with a little shaker element. So there's lots of choices, and we've got little asterisks and snowflakes, we've got little diamonds, extra things we can stamp in, and we've also got a little happy holiday saying, or a little let it snow saying we can pop inside there as well. So it is a really fun set to use. So I'm using that one called Let It Snow, and I've already pre-stamped the front, which is 'Tis the Season to be Jolly, which is pretty cute. Now we're going to just go around the edge of this so that it's a little bit more defined. So I'm just going to use a sponge dauber that I've got lying around. Let's just pull out this one, which I believe could be toffee. Just use that. Toffee, espresso, any of those sort of chocolatey colours are quite nice because there is a bit of a chocolate element. Or you could go for black for a little bit more of a really defined finish. But this just differentiates the two layers a little bit as well. And another way to differentiate the two layers would be to add a bit of foam tape there as well. So we can raise the sentiment up, or we can wait and raise the little extra that I'm going to put on in a minute. So I'm just going to adhere those two together this time. Layer it up this way and adhere that onto the front. Nice and easy. Being square, I can actually line this up with my diagonal eye, looking at how it crosses between the two, and that fits really nicely there in the center. So now we're just going to finish off decorating that with a cute little snowman. 'Tis the season to be jolly. So I'm going to pull in my watercolor pencils, and I've just chosen a sort of more minty shade of watercolors, and I'm just going to do a little bit of defining around the edges, and then very lightly bringing some color through. And you can do this all the way around, or you can just choose places where you think there might be a little bit more of a shadow. So you can choose one side and do that little emphasis on one side and pull in the rest. And then his little face. He's got a cute face, very happy looking jolly fellow. I'll give him a brown hat, given we've pulled in a little bit of that brown already. And again, I'll just emphasize that little piece there for interest. And then I'm pulling more of a reddy colour because there's a bit of red in our papers, and that will be his scarf. Now you can tell I'm not being particularly careful in the way I'm colouring, because I'm actually going to get my water brush and just do a little bit of blending at the end, which helps to make it look finished and complete. So I'll bring the scrap paper in, make sure my water brush is clear, and then I'm just going to pull out with a little bit of that water some of my colouring in, and it will look a little bit more smooth and blended. Let me just show you this in real life. I'll bring it up a bit closer. Need a bit more water out. Okay, I'll just do the half of it so far, and you can tell close up how it's blending on the left hand side much more than the right hand side. So I'm going to keep going all the way through with my water brush. That just gives a nice soft finish rather than those harsh lines that you get with pencils, particularly when you're being a bit rushed like I was. We'll do his face as well. Make it nice and soft. Okay, now we're going to switch to his scarf, so I'll just make sure I get rid of that colour and we'll pull in the scarf. You can see it a lot with this darker colour, that blending. It just finishes it off. It looks really nice. And once again, we'll get rid of that colour and we'll do his hat. Blend it all together. Nice. So we've got a cute, jolly little snowman now. Finish that off. And he's just going to be raised with a bit of foam tape. I've actually got some pieces left over from my previous little shaker, so we'll use those. He's still a bit damp, but just for the purposes of today I'll carry on so that we can finish him off. Peel off the back and pop him there to say, "'Tis the season to be jolly." He looks pretty sweet. So that's as simple as it can be to decorate the front. Now we're going to decorate the inside. So as I said before, it makes a 4" by 4" project. So I've actually pre-cut a bit of French vanilla just slightly under 4 inches. So about an 1/8, probably even a 1/16 of an inch off. So that when I tuck it in, it'll still fit right inside with a very small border coming through. So that just makes it look a little bit neater. So that's where I'm starting. And I'm going to go back to that stamp set that we were looking at. This one here. And I'm going to pull in some of these sprigs and this gorgeous little bow. So let's turn over to our stamping side and we will get the stamps. So I'll start with the pine ink. Pine is the richer green that's in this paper. And I've already laid the 2 pieces onto my block so I can just do it in one go. Because this is a nice easy project, it makes sense to do it together. Sometimes if you're doing delicate sort of overlapping or special positioning, you might want to do these little sprigs separate. But in this case, I can do them at the same time, hold it on for a second, pull it off. So we've got a beautiful looking sprig there with our pine ink. And then we're going to pull in our scarlet, which is the gorgeous red we're using for our bow. So scarlet bow would be very nice in the center of the 2. And if you're stamping directly to the project, it makes it so quick and easy. You don't have to do any fussy cutting and it looks really cute. We're going to finish off with a little bit of sparkle. I always like to bring in a few sparkles, so we'll bring in a bit of the gold. In fact, just had to remember this was actually my gold paper, glitter paper, so I do need to add a bit of adhesive to it. I tend to use my close to my heart runner in this case because it doesn't leave lots of residue around the outside, given that it's a skinny item. So that's all looking nice and ready for a little gift card to go in the middle. Now to finish off a bit of bling, I'll add in a gold glitter. Oopsie, gem right in the center there, which helps to add, and then I could always add a couple of those on the front as well. So that's the little project done. To finish that into being a gift card holder, the last stage is to get our cute little thin cuts that are in our core book. So I'll just show you where they are. They are almost a bit hidden in the book because they are on this page, but they're just showing as these little pieces. And they're called, on page 52, they're called the gift card tabs thin cuts. And there's 2 dies, and they actually come as 2 solid dies. So we've got the one that does the smaller width, which is probably more that width of a card, and the one that does the wider width, which is that width there. So choosing, depending on what card you're going to put in, you might want to put it on an angle, you might want to do whatever. You hold it on here with the little cut size down, run it through your little die cutting machine, and you end up, as this one shows you, with these little tabs. Perfect for sliding in your little gift cards, ready to gift away to someone. So it's a nice and easy little project this week. I'm sure you've got some festive paper lying around that you could use up to create these. Imagine, giving them little teachers, little coffee cards, or it could be teenagers. You've got, it's hard to buy for them, so you could get them a EB Games voucher or whatever it is that suits them, and you've got a really nice way to position them, house them so that they look fun and they look festive. So that's just a few little ideas for you. Actually, I didn't show you where my little jolly snowman came from, and he is rather gorgeous. And it's the same with these little Christmas trees and little gingerbread men. So just so that you're aware, if you're quite keen to recreate, we've got this fun stamp set in our freshly baked range, which has got, alongside this really neat thin cut, which looks a little bit like a cookie tray, we've got these different shaped cookies, and they've got little thin cuts with them. So there's our jolly snowman, Christmas tree, and our little cookie gingerbread man. So it's very fun project. I hope you enjoy creating something like this yourself, nice and quick and easy. And yeah, we will look forward to seeing you next week with our next Christmas festive idea. Thanks for watching.